All right, all right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Depends on where you are connected. My name is Chief Emmanuel Adegola, coming to you from Dallas, Texas. And I want to say happy Father's Day to all our fathers and dad. When we do, I think we could spend some minutes talking about father and dad. What's the difference? Anyway, today we'll just be talking about stress and stress management. I am just the host of the show. I have my co-host, I have the main host, and we also have our guest in the house. So I'm going to be calling our guests one after another to introduce themselves to our audience. And we're going to start from Dr. Choma. Over to you, Dr. Choma.
Good day, everyone. Because of the time difference, I'll have to say good day. I don't know who is listening. My name is Dr. Chioma Ogunedo. I'm resident in Foxborough, Massachusetts, and I'm a nurse practitioner practicing in primary care households.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. And Dr. Ngozi, over to you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dr. Keyna's talk show. My name is Linda Ngozi Enwere Imo. I am a family nurse practitioner here in Dallas, Texas, indigent from Nigeria, of course, Igbo State, Mbise, Ezido. Welcome to the show.
Wow, wow, that profile is so intimidating, but I think I love it. I love it. Okay, welcome, Dr. Law Osondo. Over to you.
Welcome, everybody, to Dr. Keyna Omenako's show. This is a great show, and I am a doctor of nursing practice and a nurse practitioner practicing in Maryland at this time, permanent resident in Dallas, Texas. Originally from Nigeria, and I've been in this talk show a number of times. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And I have my co-host also in the house, Mr. Alex. Over to you. Introduce yourself to our audience.
Happy Father's Day to everybody. I'm Alex Swahili. I'm a co-host of this program. Good evening and good day.
Good evening and good day. Yes, before we bring in our host, because today is Father's Day, you can see the way I dress. I dress like a chief, and of course, I'm a chief. So I think the Kids President also has a message for all the fathers. Before we go into the main topic, then we bring in, of course, the host. So let's listen to the Kids President. What kind of message does he have for the fathers?
Alright, this one's for dads. I wrote it down, but I'm not gonna use it. I'll make this one real good. This one's from the heart, y'all. All the advertisements say I should get you a tie. But you and I both know you're not that kind of guy. You're a dad's dad. And also, I'm cash-strapped, so I can't get you a present that can be gift-wrapped. Instead, here's a video, and with it, a poem dedicated to fathers and how much we own. If there was a dad election, you would lead in the polls. Online, you would even be #dadgoals. #dadgoals. That sounds pretty good. You'd be liked or retweeted. I'm sure that you would. But you're so much more than silly social media. You're right beside awesome in the encyclopedia. You're a dad, a hero. You know that's true. Dad, this dedication is all for you. Here's to the dads who wear sandals with socks. The dads who do chores like cleaning the cat box. The dads who have dance moves that might be a bit odd. To the ones that are not afraid to show off the dad bod. Here's to the dads sticking through the ups and downs. We love you even when you make lightsaber sounds. Yeah, you're a grown man, but the force is still with you. But we love all the dads, no matter the weather. If the world had more dads, the world would be better. Dads who are all in, not just dipping their toes in. Dads who know all of the lyrics to Frozen. The dads who show up. The dads who do tons. The dads who grill hot dogs, hamburgers, and buns. The dads who give high fives and make everything okay. Dads who aren't just on their phone for the whole day. Even though sometimes you have bad taste in music. Dads, don't you know, your love is therapeutic. Sometimes we might act like we don't really care. But deep down, we really like having you there. It doesn't even matter how our time will be spent. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to be present. Yeah, I know, right? Just you being there makes it awesome. Just be there, man. Taught me so many things, which sports team is best, who I am, where I'm going. I'm not just in the text. You taught me keep going. You taught me no quitting. What you do is so much more than what they call babysitting. You're a counselor, a teacher, a role model, a preacher, a coach, a friend, my personal ATM. Sorry about that. I just need a little bit of money. I don't have a job yet. While I know this is not one of your deepest affections, I like it when you have to stop and ask for directions. It's just another way to live your life and show. Sometimes I have to realize there's some things I don't know. You know I no longer find it a bother. When someone says you're turning into your father, it'll be a long time, but I might be a parent too. And I hope that I could say I'm a lot like you. Dad goals.
All right.
Can't take a dad nap.
So, happy Father's Day once again. Join me to welcome the host of Keyna Health Show, Dr. Keyna Omneko. Over to you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to all our viewers from all over the world and our panelists. Good to have you all back. Happy Father's Day to all our fathers and husbands out there. Today, we are going to discuss stress. Stress is one of the most dangerous health conditions facing our body system. As we all know, stress is a great challenge for both men and women, no matter your profession. Teachers, parents, managers, employees, entrepreneurs. And in the past year and a half, stress has profoundly affected healthcare workers and the entire society since the COVID-19 pandemic. We all know excessive and prolonged stress causes serious mental and physical illnesses, including the heart diseases, high blood pressure, diabetes, depression, anxiety, and the list goes on. Prolonged stress reduces our productivity and growth as well as our immune system. Stress is a dangerous killer and causes so much havoc to our body. So today, we are going to demystify ways to reduce stress in your life. Welcome to the show.
All right. So I'm going to bring in our co-host, Mr. Alex, as he paddles the canoe of this show today. Over to you, Mr. Alex.
Yeah, good evening. We'll go right away into the business of the day. And like Dr. Keyna has said, that this is a dangerous disease condition. So what is it? Can we start by explaining so that our people who are going to be with us in this program will understand what stress is? Dr. Law, I want to start with you. Today is Father's Day. Let me give it to you.
Give him some stress.
Yes, let me give him a little bit of dose.
Yes, and rightly, because fathers go through a lot of stress, so we should be able to be knowledgeable about what stress is all about. But it is stress is a physical or emotional condition in which you find yourself, and it is usually a condition that you have no solution immediately, and it takes you to worry. And when it gets to that worry, it begins to change certain things in your system. You could have tension, it could cause you high blood pressure, or you begin to secrete some hormones. And when these hormones are being secreted, it has ripple effect. It causes one thing after another, and then it debilitates you. And when it continues for some time and there's no solution to it, it might go to some mental conditions. It could lead to depression, or even at the worst, it gets to the level of psychosis. But stress is a condition nobody wants to have. Whatever we do in life, it is to avoid extreme stress so that we can relax and enjoy our life. So basically, that's the straightforward definition of stress, a condition that is difficult to handle, and therefore it causes you a lot of health problems. Thank you.
Yeah, and we go from there. Dr. Chioma, we want more explanation. Do you have anything to add?
Thank you. Dr. Law has actually defined stress, but we also have to know that anything that causes physical or emotional problems to you is stress. But there are good stresses. I just want him to know that, sometimes we talk about stress. There are things that you say, oh, I'm so stressed out, but it will push you to do things that are good. So in talking about stress, we should be able to define the good and the bad stressors, and anything that affects you emotionally, physically, or mentally, it's stress. But is it an acute stress that is something that happens suddenly? Like, for instance, you're driving a car, somebody comes in front of you, that gives you a stressful moment at that point. So what's your reaction? Do you think quickly and say, okay, let me get out of the way, if you think the person is drunk or impaired? um, some stresses are chronic, so it's something he was talking about, worrying over and over and over and over again about this particular thing. For instance, you're in a bad marriage, your house is in trouble of being foreclosed, and you're thinking about, how do I make up finances to actually pay for this mountain bill? That becomes a stress in your life. Or or someone in your life is sick, and you're one of the caregivers, or you're the only caregiver. That becomes a stress in your life, because you have to cope, find ways to manage that situation, because stress is a situation in your life. But the definition will be, what type of situation is this? Something that is just happened, that can be solved today, or something that can be prolonged? So that would be an addition to what Dr. Law has just said. Thank you.
Yeah. Now, Dr. Ngozi, I'm coming to you right away. I'm sure there is no end to this very critical health condition. And Chioma has already entered into the alley of types in trying to explain very adequately what it means. I think you can go on from there.
Yes, you're honorable, and you are very right. You are right when you say there is no end, because there is no end to stress. As long as we exist as humans, we must have stress. The difference becomes how we manage and how we adapt to those stressors. So, stress is a part of human existence, stress is a part of life. As long as we are living in this world as humans, we are going to encounter stress at any given point in time. Like I said, the difference becomes how we manage it. So, what is stress? As Dr. Law and Dr. Ognedo have already pointed out, stress is a state of psychophysiological inequilibrium. And what do I mean? Psycho, in that it has to do with the emotional being, physiological, with our body as a physiological component of life. So when we are not able to adapt to certain situations, certain stressors, that's when we move into that state of inequilibrium, which can lead to some of the conditions that Dr. Keyna had already mentioned: anxiety, depression, diabetes, hypertension. When I talk about hypertension and stress, back home in Africa, we perceive it or conceive it differently. Because when someone has high blood pressure there and you say, oh, your blood pressure is high, they tell you, oh, but I've been so relaxed. I'm not thinking of anything. I'm not stressed out. I'm not doing this. That's not just the only thing that leads to that, is just a part of it. So stress is a part of life. Stress is a part of our existence in this world. We just have to find a way to adapt to prevent those consequences that arise from that situation.
All right. Before we jump in and continue from that, thanks so much, Dr. Linda, Dr. Choma, the law. I have this directly from the host because of our location. So she sent this to me to be sharing as we go along. So this is the definition she sent along, and this is coming directly from Dr. Keyna. It's what is stress? What comes to your mind when you hear the word stress? Stress can be described as the feeling of being overwhelmed or unable to cope with mental or emotional pressure. I think that goes with definition Dr. Linda just gave us. Stress is a feeling of emotional or physical tension, also goes with that. It can come from any event or thought that makes you feel frustrated, angry, or nervous. Stress is your body's reaction to a challenge or demand. So we move to the types of stress that we think, okay, people do have or that we can have. Then we talk about causes of stress. So can we just quickly go over the types of stress that we think, okay, we have? Let me start from Dr. Linda.
Thank you, Dr. Emmanuel. When we talk about types of stress, of course, we have acute and we have chronic stress. Acute stress is the one that could come up, let's say someone got involved in an auto accident, that is an immediate stress there. And that leads to anxiety, kind of palpitation, that distress that you feel momentarily. When that situation goes away, you find a relief. Then we talk about chronic stress. Chronic stress develops over a period of time, and that is where adaptation and the inability to reinstate that equilibrium comes into play. So when you are undergoing a situation or there is this stressor in life and you've tried everything you could and you're not able to come to a resolution, then it can start leading to some other conditions like depression, diabetes, even anxiety, and a good number of other conditions that we deal with in life, including hypertension. We hear about post-traumatic stress syndrome from our military men and from people that have gone through some kind of emotional or physical abuse. So those kind of things, they lead to long-term effects. And when I talk about effects, I mean negative effects in our body. So we have acute and we have chronic. Acute comes to a resolution within a short period of time. Chronic kind of tends to stay a little longer.
All right. Wow, that is so awesome. And Dr. Nomso is in the house. So let the party begin. You are welcome.
Hello, sir. How are you? I'm so sorry. I'm in a place that I wasn't able to log in on time, and I'm still struggling to get a comfortable place to have this.
So you are indirectly you are having connection stress.
So she's
Yes,
stressed.
yes, a lot of stress.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. So let's I know all of us cannot wind over the same type of questions, so because of our time, but I still want let's Dr. Choma add to what Dr. Linda just said, talking about types of stress that we have.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Emmanuel. I know I spoke about those type of stresses, and we also said stress is something that happens every time in our lives. I just want to mention also that there's a type of stress, which is the use stress that happens, that gives us joy. We are not going to skip that one because if you're someone who does like the winter sports, skiing and mountain climbing, your adrenaline pumps up and you're excited. That's a kind of joyful stress. That stress cannot be omitted because sometimes in life we need it. If you're engaged in sports and things, that are extreme in that form. When it comes to chronic stress, like Dr. Linda mentioned, all of us go through it in life, but it all depends on what's your reaction when that comes to your life. Are you put down? Do you start to go through other things? Because a lot of people who come to your clinics or human beings that you see out there, when you come in, they tell you I'm stressed or I have anxiety. When you go deep down, there's something that is causing it, and it's that chronic stress that they are carrying is over and over and over again. You worry yourself to the point that you cannot control uh, your life, and it starts to manifest in other diseases like high blood pressure, diabetes, migraine, headaches, blurry vision. So stress is actually very dangerous. If you allow stress to be in your life, you're bound to end up having one of these chronic diseases. So stress, acute, chronic, you stress, whatever stress is not good for you.
All right. Well, before I bring back Mr. Alex to to dive into the causes of stress, is any of our panelists wants to add, or should I put it this way, to a layman out there, to somebody that is not possibly in medical field and doesn't know, okay, two types of stress. We're talking about chronic or acute. When most people talk about stress, they want to look into something like financial stress. They want to look into emotional stress, physical stress. So all those, because when they talk, oh, I'm stressed, maybe somebody doesn't have money in his or her pocket, and you just see that as a stress. Or somebody is going through marital issue. That person might look at it that, okay, he or she is having a emotional stress, So under what category can we put those?
Yes, let me comment here. Emma, you have said it all. Stress comes in two kinds, acute and chronic. Dr. Linda and Dr. Chairman have been able to explain it.
We can't hear you.
But can't you hear me?
No, we can hear now.
Okay, now.
Okay. Yes, but I want to give some specific examples of this so that we can understand it very well, and so that the layman who is watching this can take home something concrete. If, for instance, you open your door, you want to get out of your house and you see a lion, all of a sudden, your body will change. There will be reaction. The adrenaline will pump. So many things will happen at that same moment. And then your body is taking a hit and a challenge. If you close your door back and go inside the house and stay safe, it takes you some time for your body to recalibrate and get to its normalcy. So imagine, if imagined or even real, you see this kind of situation 3 times every day, your body will ache. Something is going to happen to you. Blood pressure, all these things we are talking about. And that is acute stress if it just happens and resolves at that moment. If you are driving a car and somebody is suddenly in front of your car when you are speeding at 80 miles per hour and you jam on your brakes, that is stress. It's going to give you some adrenaline in your body. And stress is, the reaction of the body is not necessarily supposed to cause you a problem. It's the body trying to prepare you for a reaction. If, for instance, the adrenaline pumps in, then it gives your leg some kind of energy to march on the brake. If you see a lion and then the adrenaline pumps in, it's preparing you to run away. So the body reacts to prevent you from having falling into danger. But yet, if it continues that way, then there are some consequences. For instance, if you have too much adrenaline in your system, hydrocortisone coming in, then it will also affect your testosterone. Testosterone level will come down, and eventually it will affect your libido, and so on. Some of these things have some kind of chain reaction. So if somebody is constantly under stress, then he's a killer, because so many things is going to happen. Then if it is chronic stress, for instance, you have a very bad experience, and then continuously it becomes an obsessive thought. You can't sleep. Every day you remember it, continues on and on and on and on. Then it has gone into the realm of chronic condition. It also has some consequence. You will be secreting some hormones to make sure you have homeostasis in your system. But it is a kind of thing that is challenging your body. And eventually it will show up in one way or the other. It could be that you no longer sleep, high blood pressure, sleep apnea, headache, and all these things. Whereas if you are relaxed and these things are not around you, you have a better system and you have a better relaxation. So that is how I want to put it at this time, so that regular people will understand what we are talking about. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Before I hand over to Mr. Alex, just for us to be able to, land safely, because of so many topics that need to be discussed. And also we have so many things to cover. So once you are talking and I feature you, spotlight you, it means you're on stage. And once I bring you back to group view like this, it's telling you that, okay, you have less than 30 seconds to round up. I hope you still love me. Happy Father's Day once again. Over to you, Mr. Alex.
Yeah, before I go to Dr. Ngozi, I wanted to know, Dr. Chioma was telling us there is a positive stress, but she didn't tell us whether that positive stress is also dangerous. Somebody wins a rifle. He gets a huge money from a rifle win, and his heart is beating. That looks to me to be a positive stress. Is it harmful? And from there, we can now get on to what are the various signs and symptoms, and what are the things you see, and because you begin to know that you are under stress. So, anybody, Dr.
Yeah, winning a lottery, it can be stressful. You'll be happy, but it all depends on how you react to it. You talked about palpitations. I have never seen someone who won a lottery and died from it. Usually, when your heart beats like that, you're in that happy, euphoric stage and you're so excited. Then you calm down and start to think about what you have to do with the money. Unless if you won this lottery and then there's an armed robber by the side waiting to take the cash from you, that's when the stress turns into something different because your fight and flight reaction is right there. Am I going to run away? Should I scream? Should I do this? But I think it's a happy stress that you won a huge sum of money. But what I was talking about is that if you look at people, I don't know if you watch skiing and you watch those people ski like across mountains and stuff. For me, looking at it from this point of view, it's scary, but for them, it gives them joy and they can actually climb mountains. And that's a happy stress because it will help them win whatever they're looking for. Thank you.
And I'm going to add to that, stress could be a positive in the sense that it could be a motivator. It could be the motivating factor you need to get something done. You could be confused, like Dr. Choma rightly pointed out. Let's say someone won the lottery, and you are here trying to figure out how to invest this money whichever way. If it's not something you're very familiar with, you're going to be scrambling, trying to find resources, trying to find people to help you. You're worried about losing this money. You're worried about investing the wrong way. So that becomes a stressor there. But the motivation to get something done in the positive could be a consequence of that stressor there. So stress could also be a motivator, and that's a positive.
Yeah, Dr. Nonso, I'm coming to you right away. Can you let us know how somebody should be able to identify when he is under a very stressful condition? What are the factors with relevant examples, if you can?
You're muted.
Unmute yourself.
Hi, good evening. I wish this question was asked before May 14th. I would have easily say, oh, it's easy to identify when you're under a lot of stress and it's easy to manage. But you have there's a lot of things. It depends on the level of stress and it depends on what you're being stressed about. So if the stress is happy stress, like Sister Choma said, you can easily know when your heart is palpitating. You will know when your blood pressure is high. You will know when you're just anxious over little things like that. Then you, of course, you will be able to identify those things. But when you're in stress that's caused by life-changing events that are not positive, you might not even know when you just go down the road and not realize that you're stressed. You will be too sad to even notice if there are any issues with your health. It depends on the kind of stress you're going through. Some stress you will be in the right state of mind to identify what's going on. Others you will not be. You will just be too down to even know when your blood pressure is high, or you might even just be sad and not even know or not be able to identify. Align the stress with any symptoms, I used to think I knew how to manage stress, and I used to talk to people about stress, but I have to tell you, in the last few months, what I know stress to be, what I know to be symptoms of stress, and what I know on how to manage stress have changed. I just don't know what to. I don't think there are definite symptoms or definite managements on managing stress. I think it depends, and it depends on the person and the situation and other factors surrounding the person at that time. There's no one size that fits all. I'm beginning to learn that, and you just have to know your body. It could be that you're just too happy. That could be how you will know that you're stressed. It could just be that you sleep too much. It could be that you just get angry easily and yell at everyone. There are so many things that could happen. For me, honestly, I don't. I've learned that there's no one size that fits all. You just have to know your body and know how to
Yes.
identify those times.
To add to that, Nonso has said it all. Everybody reacts to stress in their own different ways. But if you are stressed that has come to the point of depression, then depression has certain symptoms and it is obvious. You will lose interest in so many things you do. You will be very tired. You even to take care of yourself will be a problem. That's a stress that has gone into depression. Other somatic signs of stress could be muscle tension. Some of the times, even personally, I want to get somebody to massage my back because there's tension there. It's causing me headache. The neck is stiff. Some of those things are also signs of stress. Another thing is you become forgetful. You might be wanting to go to somewhere, you miss the place you're going, you miss your roads, you turn right back, you do these things. Those are when you're stressing your body. It affects your presence of mind. And that is what stress can do to you. And it may make you begin to nag. Somebody comes close to you, you're irritable, you don't want to talk to somebody. Some may go taciturn, not be able to say any word. They are withdrawn, they stay to yourself. And others might be a little bit violent, trying to take whatever the other person is trying to do as extension of the same problem he has. And it happens even in the family. You can go outside and come home and meet your wife, and she becomes a punching bag for you because of what you have seen outside. So those are signs of stress. So anybody that understands that these are stress, the best thing the person could do is probably get some rest or get some company that is helpful. Sometimes take some anti-anxiety that can help put these thoughts in your mind at the back instead of bringing it to the fore. So these are some of the things related to stress I can say regarding signs and symptoms of stress. Thank you.
And I wanted to mention that, sorry, there's a kind of stress called situational stress. With situational stress, they are transient, just like the law mentioned. Those are the kinds of stress that you can just sleep off because you know you're stressed due to a situation. Once that situation passes, you will be back to your normal self. But when you get into chronic stress or you get into stress that leads to depression or anxiety, manic anxiety, at that point you need to start seeking for help. I know in our community it's like a taboo to go to counseling. But we should be going to counseling. We should be asking for help when we feel like the symptoms we're having are leading us into some level of depression. Of course, it's easier said than done. But for me, like I said, the last 2 months I've lost 3 people. I don't even know what is normal for my body anymore. It could be different for anybody else. So if you feel like you're stressed and that stress is not something that is transitional, then definitely get some help before it's too late. That's
But there's
what.
something we are missing here. There's something I think we are missing. What if you deal in psych sometimes, you find out that the person going through that issue is not even aware of it. So I think we should actually talk about how will your family and friends identify the fact that you are under a situation of chronic stress? Because we are talking about it because we know what stress is. But what about that layman out there? How will they identify that my family member is going through stress, my friend is going through stress, my colleague at work is going through stress? Because sometimes the person going through that situation will not know actually. And it's only when someone points out, hey, you've been snapping, since the last 2 weeks at work, what's going on? Then you're like, huh? So I just wanted to add that to this discussion because we seem not to realize that sometimes the person is not aware of it.
All right. Just to carry our audience also along, we have Angel from Facebook says this topic is great. Many of us struggle with stress at work and in our personal life, and when it's happening to us, we lack strategic approach to manage it. Thank you so much for this topic. And of course, Chidepe says, dear Dr. Keyna Omineko, thank you so much for this phenomenal work. Very informative and insightful. So before I bring back Mr. Alex to kind of paddle us to the next questions, I have this from Dr. Keyna, Signs of Stress. You may feel anxious, afraid, angry, or aggressive, sad, irritable, frustrated, depressed. And I believe all those also have been caused. Then we've not really talked about the behavior. So we let Mr. Alex go to the next stage? Or Dr. Keyna, you want to say something before we go to the next stage?
Well, yeah, I was actually going to Dr. Chioma was asking how would people around you, identify that you're going through stress. And those were all those things that you have mentioned when somebody is snapping, anxious, afraid, irritable, depressed. And again, how you start behaving, indecisive, inflexible, people become tearful, you can't fall asleep or you wake up in the middle of the night. You start taking, if you used to drink one beer a day, you start drinking 2 or 3 or more, or start taking drugs. So stress is really a bad thing that we should all start learning how to cope with it, because stress is here, it's every day, we go through it. But so the strategy is to learn how to cope with stress.
All right, awesome. Okay, Mr. Alex, over to you.
So we have laid a very, very solid background about what stress is, the types of stress, how to identify it. And so it's important now for us to know what really causes this stress. What are the stressors? What triggers it off? Can we get as many practical examples as possible so that people can know whether they can start shutting off those stressors, or if they cannot shut them off, they know how to grab them when it comes, or how to push it off, or how to manage it. So what are the factors that trigger us? Let me start with Dr. Lawson. So what are the stressors?
Mr. Alex, I appreciate that over the discussion we have mentioned.
Can't hear you.
Over the discussion, we have mentioned different kinds of stresses and things that can cause you stress. But I want to dwell on lingering stress, because if it is transient, if it is just that you jam on your brake and you didn't hit anybody, that one gradually goes away and you live your normal life. Well, take for instance, you go to work every day. Your manager is not happy with you. The people you are working with are looking over the shoulders and saying, oh, this guy is not doing well. Or maybe it's intentional to frustrate you. Every day you wake up to go to work, your heart skips a beat because you are not going to be happy. You do this job for 1 year, you are hurting yourself. At that point, what you need to do is start looking for another job where you'll be more comfortable. So that is one of the major stressors. Some of us who work here on the your colleague in the office is not in good terms with you, and everything you do evokes some kind of reaction, and you continue to go through that all time, then you're in trouble. If you don't, maybe you used to have money, for some reason something happened, and you no longer have money to meet your needs, then you continue to worry that now you are going to come down from a big mansion to go and live in 2 rooms, and it continues to bother you over and over again. You should try to do something. What you need to do at that point is try to adjust and then come to terms with your reality and then get what you can afford and move from there. You can also eventually get back to where you started. So that is also some of the things we need to do. So there are so many other ways we need to avoid things without remedy, should be without regard. That's what Shakespeare said. Because otherwise you continue to put yourself in such a condition that it will hurt your health, your blood pressure, diabetes, and every other thing, and even body tension. Eventually you'll be having a lot of pains. Then you are taking pain medication. So stress on a long term should be handled in such a way that you get away from it. If somebody's putting your feet to fire continuously, you have to withdraw from it somehow, if possible with a little fight, so that you can get to where you are more comfortable. So that's the situation. We all know what is happening in Nigeria now. Every day we wake up, we go to Facebook, we see people are being killed. That has put a lot of us in stress. And those who are at home, who will see a policeman and run away into the bush, that's major stressor. You don't know who you can rely on. There was a stampede in some markets, in so many places, and it's on and on and on. These are stresses that will make people to go to war. Why do you want to go to war? You are tired of that stress. You have to do something once and for all or die for it. Nations go to war because of persistent stress. So that is the situation we find ourselves in Nigeria, and that is enormous stress. And this could lead to sometimes world war because of inability to manage one stress that goes from one stage to another to another. Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Ngozi, while you might add 1 or 2 things on what Dr. Law have said, I also wanted to look at
Sorry, before Dr. Ngozi, before we lose the audience, we have a question, or is it a question or a comment on Facebook from Chidebe? Says, I just wanted to add, please, can you also lay a bit of emphasis on distress or eustress? Distress is a negative stress, and eustress is as a positive stress. For instance, the stress of pregnancy could be perceived as positive stress, just like the stress of reading for exams. Great topic. Thanks, Dr. Keyna. So, what do we have to say about distress and eustress?
Thank you so much. And Ronsi, I think this is something we have all addressed. I don't know when you joined, but for the sake of it, we're going to touch it a little bit more. Just like you rightly pointed out, there is this state of distress versus eustress. And when you talk about distress, that's the one that is leading to negative effects in our body. Eustress, we can look at it as a state of equilibrium, in the sense that this is considered normal stress. And that is the one we are talking about that we cannot eliminate from our lives. Is that positive stress, that stressor that has a positive impact on us. In that situation, sometimes we have a state of equilibrium. So eustress, you have a state of equilibrium. Distress, your equilibrium has been driven away. There is no homeostasis there. You are just distressed. So that's what I have to issue there.
Thank you so much. Anybody wants to add to what Dr. Linda just said? Anybody? Dr. Choma, Dr. Long, Dr. Keyna?
I just wanted to point out that as Dr. Linda said, and the comment that he made, pregnancy can also turn into distress sometimes when it starts to
True.
go negative. So, but the happy part of it is when that person is pregnant and she's happy, the husband is happy, the entire family is involved, everyone is happy. So there's equilibrium there, everyone is happy. But if things start to go negative, then there's a distress. And what do? Now you start to run to doctors, you want to get things going the right way. So that's when the distress comes in. Or, for instance, I know that Chinamso was talking about the stressors she's gone through this year. Yes, I've been reading some of her Facebook postings and stuff. It's good that she's talking about it, and she understands that she's going through that stress. So that's this. She was actually in a position of distress, but she handled it. Thank God she's here now, and we can see her face. At least there's a small smile on her face. So that's distress. But you stress. What we are doing today, I don't know if you guys felt the stress of preparing for this, but it's a happy stress. And like I told Mr. Alex, I said, I have a lot of things I'm doing today, but I needed to be here. Today's Father's Day. Today's our meeting day. So I woke up in the morning. I started panicking. I said, okay, breathe, think about it. Church first. Pick up food. Do this. Go to the valley, and that's been a stress in my life. So I have to be somewhere, and you have to have a hold on the things that are going on in your life for you to actually handle your stress well. Some of us don't know how to hold on to what all the things we've set up, and we just scatter ourselves. So
All
that's
right.
what
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I don't just want us to lose our audience. We still have another question right on Facebook, even though I know we have mapped out some topics to cover, but as you all know, it's not about us, it's about the audience, the question they are asking, and for us to meet their need. Even if it's one person that we are able to meet his or her needs today, we are fulfilled. So there's this question from Angel. Angel says, who is the right person to talk to when we are stressed? Who is the right person to talk to when we are stressed? Anybody can take that up.
Yeah,
I was okay. I
okay,
would
go ahead,
say
Linda.
this is also going to be dependent on individuals. Majority of the time, I would say talk to God if you are a God believing person. Talk to God because that has two effects. It has that heavenly effect, it has that emotional effect. And again, depending on the type of, if you are in a relationship, if you are single, if you have that support group, you must have a confidence. You must have, if you are in a relationship, say a woman, you are in a relationship with a man, but if that other person happens to be your stressor or the source of your stress, then you're going to look somewhere else. We have psychologists. If you are to take it the professional level, that is somebody you can talk to. Psychologists are trained to deal with this kind of stressors in life. They deal with what we call CBT, behavioral therapy, right? Where they evaluate, they assess and evaluate what could be the source of your stressor, and through experience, through knowledge, they're able to guide you. So it depends on where you are in life and the source of your stressor and what you as a person, the source of your stress, and what you as a person believes in.
All
But
right.
Yeah,
support,
can I
find your
add
social
something to
support.
that?
Yeah, go
Sure.
ahead.
Yes, when you have stress, that by the nature of that stress, you are unable to share with anybody else. That is the worst situation you can get yourself in. Because when you share, you give vent. Take, for instance, okay, you have need for $1,000 to pay for something, and you say, oh, I can't ask this person because he doesn't like me. I can't talk to this person. All of a sudden, you speak to somebody, and somebody says, oh, don't worry about it. This is $1,000. That's the end of that stress. But if you continue to keep that stress with you, even if somebody doesn't give you money, somebody else can just give you encouragement. So don't worry about this. If this one misses, you get another one. Every disappointment is a blessing. Always talk to somebody, even if it's not a psychiatrist or anybody. You can talk to your immediate neighbor. That's why we have friends. There must be somebody who is your friend who's not going to expose you if the thing is shameful, that you can talk to. And that person can help you modulate the situation so that you can get some relief. If you have a stressor that is pressing you down and you cannot share, it's a problem. If you have good relationship with your spouse and you guys are able to share the problems you have, that is also a way of relieving the stress or gradually making it soft enough that it's not going to cause you prolonged problems. So that's what I wanted to add to that.
All right. Thank you so much. I know we have a lot to cover. And as a pastor, also let me speak on behalf of the spiritual ones. So if you are stressed, there are situations also you might want to talk to your pastor. If you see him as somebody that can help you. It's not all the pastors that understand what you are going through, I'm sorry to say. But once you understand that, okay, this person can also be of help to you, some of us, it might be spiritual issue. And I'm talking now from spiritual perspective. I know this is a medical show, but at the same time, sometimes also we cannot treat a physical we cannot treat spiritual with physical. There are times that there are some things that have to be handled spiritually. And I hope that might mean something to somebody out there. Okay, so before we move to the next, I have one of the slides sent by the host. And it's my responsibility to just read it out since she cannot read it from our location. She talks about causes of stress. Being under a lot of pressure could cause you stress, facing big changes in life, e.g. bereavement, divorce, loss of employment, sudden money problems, etc. Problem in Nigeria, problem in dollars could cause a sudden change in government, worrying about something, failing to have much or any control over the outcome of a situation, having responsibilities that you are finding overwhelming, the lack of enough work, activities or change in your life. Times of uncertainty, e.g. the current global pandemic of COVID-19 that is fading away gradually. Positive life changes such as moving, job promotions, and going for holidays can also be sources of stress. All right, Mr. Alex, over to you.
Yeah, let's go straight to management. How do we manage this problem? We now have discovered it's a killer. It's very pervasive. It can destroy the body system. So how do we manage it? Chioma, because I know you will soon leave. So let's start with you. Dr. Chioma.
Yes, thank you. Thank you that you acknowledge that. So in coping with stress, there's something I wanted to read because I had the privilege of working in addiction for almost 20 years. And there's this prayer said by people who go to AAs, the Serenity Prayer. It says, God grant me the strength to change what I can, the patience to accept what I can't, and the wisdom to know the difference. So a lot, like I said before, a lot of us don't know when they have the stress and the difference between stressors. So if you are in a situation, for instance, if an addict comes into your office, I like them because they're very open, especially those of them that have been to AA. They're able to tell you, they know the source of their stress, but the problem is now knowing how to cope with the stress. So what we deal with will be behavioral changes. What can we do? What are the behaviors that we can implement to help you go through your stress and come out of it in a positive way? One of them is positive thinking. You cannot continue to say, like in Nigeria, we say, I don't die, you. Life is not good. When you keep saying that to yourself, you start believing it. But if you're happy and you're positive and you believe that things can change, and like Pastor Emmanuel said, I don't like when people, I'm not saying what you said, I don't like when people take away spirituality from medicine. I think all of them should work together and that makes it holistic. So whatever you're doing, you walk into someone's house, you should listen, or they come into your office, you should listen and find out where they're coming from. Know what their belief is and try to chip in and say, if you believe in prayers and you identify at that point, you can identify what you believe in also, and you give advice to what, because they are listening, they want to see what you plan to do with that situation. Oh, I've not slept for 1 week. What's the problem? Oh, my daughter just left the house after a fight. So she's opened up to you. So at that point, you should give the advice that is worth giving. So let me give other people time to talk. Thanks.
Yeah, Dr. Ngozi, over to you.
Right. And I'm going to tag on to what Dr. Choma has already stated. Uh, Dealing with stress sometimes is going to be approached based on the source of the stress. Sometimes there are stresses, or we have stress that we cause ourselves. An example would be students. I had been a student for some time, and I usually give this example to them. We have personalities, as we know, type A personalities, and we have type B personalities. And why I bring that in here, for those of us that are students, or some of us out there that are students, there are breaks in between classes or courses or semesters. But what I figure out is that there are some of us, some with this type of personality, that you are given that break. There is a reason why that break is slotted in there. But once that semester is over, you have started putting information, trying to write exam for the next semester that is yet to start. That break is given to you for a purpose. They know your body has been stressed. So take that break. Don't cause yourself additional stress. I know we want to get ahead of time, but there is a reason why that break is there. So that's the kind of stress that we cause ourselves, and which I ask students and people in that kind of situation to take a step back, take a breather, and make use of that. But then we talk about social support. There is a reason why we have to relate. We have friends. I know those of us that are married, whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, there is a need for you to have your friends out there, be it girlfriends, be it boyfriends. There is a reason why they exist. And I found this saying that if a friend is always needing support and never offering support, that person could also be a source of stress. That person could be a stressor in its own way. So let's also be aware of situations like that. Then, like I said earlier, we talk about cognitive behavioral therapy, where our trained experts come into play. Then we talk about praying, like Dr. Pastor Emmanuel said. We can't take that away. It has both spiritual and emotional well-being in dealing with stressors or stress in life. So there are several ways we can handle that. Writing down, what we call journaling, it can help us in a very significant way. So it depends on individuals, it depends on the source of stress, but wherever you can find that equilibrium, whatever could help you find that equilibrium to effectively manage that stress, you're never going to get rid of stress in your life. So let's just find ways to handle them for increased productivity.
All right. Sorry, Mr. Alex. I
Dr. Law,
know
sorry.
that. I know. Yes. Before I come, Dr. Law, I know our time is fast spent because of our audience. They already have it at the back of their mind that the program is for 1 hour. We don't want to add to their stress, so we just go extend a little bit for a few minutes. But we're going to be asking our panelists that we will be bringing you back, and I hope that will not be another stressor to you. So please forgive us in advance. So just give us 5 minutes, then we tidy up this. So over to you, Dr. Love.
Yes, just like Dr. Linda said, she has said most of the things, but we have to have a way of managing stress, and some of it depends on our lifestyle. If you are very well organized, you have taken some steps into limiting the stress you have. Even looking for stuff in your office or in your home is a stressor. And you don't know when you are looking for something important, then your wife comes close and she gets a push And then the quarrel starts in the home and it spirals into divorce and all that. So getting organized is very, very important. It helps you a lot. When somebody asks you something over the phone, oh no, I know where it is. That helps you a lot. Then when you're working in an office, you are an employer, and there's this employee that is not doing well. You don't try as much as possible to set a red line. And once the person crosses it, approach the person carefully and say, please, due to this and this and this, you may find another job. Don't keep the person there and continue to stress. If you're working for somebody and the working condition is no longer good for you to live a normal life, find another job. So some of these things we do will help us to live a better life instead of continuing to stress day in, day out. There are so many other examples in life. Another thing I want to add about stress is also that it is about eustress and distress. Stress is stress. If you are a pregnant woman and you go through the stress, the effect of the childbirth will stay with you most of your life. Sometimes we ask, how many children have you got? Just to have an example of what stress you have gone through in life to see what is where. If you're a footballer, you play for Chelsea. That time you're playing it, you're enjoying it. But eventually arthritis will come. Your cartilage would have worn out with so much exercise. So the world is such that anywhere you go, there's some problem. Any direction you go, there's some problem. But try as much as possible to be straightforward. If you're straightforward in your dealings with everybody, you have less stress. Because if you tell somebody that, oh, I have 1,000 to give you when you don't, and that person continues to give you trouble, and there's no way you want to tell the person, oh, what I told you is a lie, you are contributing to stress or to giving yourself a lot of stress. When you are straightforward, most of the times it's help you solve some of the problems that is going to give you trouble. So these are some practical things we do in life that we need to control. Thank you.
Thank you so much. As I said, definitely there will be part two because there is no way we can exhaust the rest of the questions and the areas that we still need to cover. But before we go to there, I don't know if there's anything Dr. Keyna want us to possibly discuss before our panelists give us their take home for today.
Okay, I know that our time has been just run away, like it was just a few minutes ago we started. But like everything that we have discussed today, it is important that you make sure that the warning signs and symptoms, like tense muscles, do not ignore anything that is happening to you when you're going through stress. Like Dr. Law said, identify your stressors and sort them into issues with practical solutions. Make a plan to address those things that you can. Exercise is a great way to distress. Exercise, I usually say, is one of the best medicine. Exercise will relieve tension. Exercise will reduce blood pressure. It will help you with your stress. It is important also to eat healthy diet. When you eat healthy diet and your body is in the right condition, your immunity, it helps you to absorb stress. Also, remember to drink plenty of water. So these are some of the things that you can do to cut down on your stress. Things like drinking and alcohol, that's some of the things you need to cut down. And nobody mentioned this today, but getting a good night's sleep is another great medicine. When your body is relaxed, your stress reduces, and it is good for the mind and the body and the soul. So sleep is a critical part of our well-being, and we must be mindful, that meditation also help you relax and help you reduce your stress. So don't work too hard, take some time off. That's another area that most of us, we work from January to December without a break. So there are certain things in life that we cannot control, but the ones that we can control, let's make sure we're helping ourselves, our body, and our everybody around us, because what affects one person affects all of us.
All right, all right. So it's been a wonderful show. So as usual, we're going to take what we normally call a take home. So we'll start from Dr. Linda. So let's say someone has been with us or just connect with us. What would be a take home for that person from today's show?
Thank you, Dr. Emmanuel. We just have to understand that stress at a certain level is a normal part of life. And as we know, it is not the load that breaks us, it is how we carry the load. So my point is, let us find ways to adapt. Let us find ways to deal with our daily stressors in life. And like they normally say, if you have tried everything right and they are not working, try them left, because what you think is right might not be the right thing. So a big shout out to all our fathers out there, Dr. Law, Honorable Alex, Dr. Emmanuel. We appreciate you. Cut down the stress, kiss your wives routinely, make love to them, have sex with them regularly. That's a stress relieving engagement. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Thank you for saying that. So, what of the one that the wife is not near?
The wife is not
The
there.
one, yeah, the one that the wife is not physically where the husband is. So, how will he distress?
You
That's
find her
another
where she
stressor.
is and make time and find her where she
So
is.
that's another
That's the wonderful one.
That's another stressor.
Okay, the law.
Oh my God.
Okay. What I have advised everybody I know, and I have also applied it in my own life, is when you are stressed out with a chronic stress and you are getting to the point of depression, find out something positive to do, because at the end of the day, you will be better off for it. If, for instance, you lost somebody and you are folding your hands trying to mourn and cry every day, why don't you enroll in school? And by the time you come out of school, you're a different person. Your ego, everything is in place. If, for instance, you are having financial problem because the money you are earning is not good enough, then you go and retrain. When you retrain and come back, that stress will be with you throughout the training. But when you come out, that stress will leave you. So take positive steps anytime you're under stress. Because if you lie on your bed and respond to what your body wants you to do, it will continue like that. And eventually, it might go into serious conditions. Wake up and do something positive. And ignore that stress for some time and see how that stress goes away. So that's my advice to everybody. Don't fold your hands and allow your stress to take you into depression. Do something positive. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And as usual, Mr. Alex, what do you say your take home is today from today's show?
Yeah, today's show has been very wonderful and amazing. I learned a lot. The first thing I have learned is that you have to be positive. You have to make sure that you don't allow your stressor to wear you down. You must get somebody to talk to, no matter where. And you have to also adopt a spiritual approach to the entire exercise. Try to change your condition. Don't remain static. Start moving. Don't succumb to negative pressures. There is still life out there despite the stress. Thank you very much.
Awesome. And before I hand over to the host of the show, I just want to say a very special thank you. She might not know it, but Dr. Keyna, thank you for listening to me, being your coach one way or the other. I remember talking to her, was it like 2-3 weeks ago? I said, I think we need to discuss stress. And what really happened that day was I was stressed. I'm a father, I'm a husband, We have a foster home. I'm a pastor. I'm a business guy. I do a lot of things. So just imagine the kind of stress. So that day I was stressed and I needed some answers. And I just texted and said, I think we need to discuss stress management on the Keyna Health Show. And here we are discussing it. So I really, really learned a lot, even as a co-host today. So thank you so much to all our panelists. You might not know whom you are really helping. You might just think, okay, maybe we are adding stress to your life. Of course, we don't pay you for 1 hour, especially bringing doctors to this kind of shows. We know how much you get paid per hour, but at the same time, you are doing this, for humanity. And I want you to know, you might not just know whom you are helping. It's not everybody that climb the pulpit or climb on the altar that is a minister. You just ministers to somebody, right now, and you might not really know where you will be meeting them or where you have helped them. So thank you so much. And having said that, my name is Emmanuel Adigbola. Thank you so much for today's show. Over to you, Dr. Keyna.
Oh, what a wonderful show. I want to thank our panelists for taking this hot topic and giving our viewers, a good sense of a little knowledge on how to cope with stress in their lives. Stress is dangerous. Failure to manage your stress could be costly to your health and consequently lead to death. We are here to help you manage your stress and challenges. And when you become overwhelmed, please seek for a professional counselor or licensed psychotherapist, because that's what they do and it really works. Thank you all for listening, and we see you all in the next show.